All right, welcome. So, this is Will Dukes from Sales Partners, and I'm here this afternoon with my friend Neto, and Neto is a fantastic videographer and a video editor, and has done projects for a lot of big organizations and companies that you know, and we've been a part of some organizations together, and we were kind of chatting, what was it, last week, I think, about how this whole COVID-19 thing and now the shutdown and lockdown that's changed a lot of stuff, how it was changing his business, how it was changing, business all over the place. But it came up that one of the things that, people needed to be doing was more content at this time to really get out there and do the float. And obviously video is key for that, but folks can't really bring Neto in because it's not exactly essential, unfortunately, to have him come in and do videos, and it might be a risk. So he's sharing some good knowledge and what people can do with themselves. I know he's given me a few little pointers on stuff, and I tend to get some compliments on the way I've set up kind of my home studio here, and he gave me some pointers on how to get that up. So I thought it was appropriate that I reach out to him and ask him, just to come on here and do this little Zoom call, and we'll record that and put it out there as some content for everybody else. And so, Neto, thank you, man. And how are things where you're at right now?
Well, thank you for the introduction and for this invitation. Right now, like you said, we got to keep a distance. So it's not really social distancing; it's physical distancing because we got to be a few feet apart. So exactly, we still have to be social. We still have to be putting out content. And I was looking at my phone. I get notifications of how much phone usage I've been using every week, and it has increased by like 40%.
Wow.
My average phone usage was like 7 hours yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. I'm watching a lot of videos on my phone, videos, articles, but video is usually the key one. And so now is the time to really reevaluate what's been limiting people from posting content. And you can do it from your home, like we're doing right now. This is my workspace from home. And so now is where I'm going to be doing my content. And so it's fairly easy. You can do it from your phone because the iPhones right now are amazing devices. They have 4K to do video. That's phenomenal. Not only that, but they have 4K and 60 frames per second. So you can do slow motion in 4K. A lot of very professional DSLRs can't even do that. But the iPhone is so advanced. Every year, the only thing that they really innovate, I think, is the phone, because people are using it as a way to create content. And so it's phenomenal. You don't need a camera. You really just need to understand the fundamentals of video, such as lighting. I was showing you how without light, I have two lights.
Let's get into some of those things and talk about some of those fundamentals. Cause I think, you and I we know, I know what you're talking about when you say, 4K and 60 frames per second, more or less, not super technical, but enough.
Yeah.
But I think, a lot of small business owners, they may not even have any idea what you're talking about, 4K.
So I'll explain really quickly. So we're used to seeing videos that are 1080 by 1920. That means that, they're like this size.
Right.
But 4K is like this size. That means that the quality is so much better that you can zoom in 4K footage and it still looks good. But in a 1080 video, if you zoom in, it's already starting to see pixelated because there's way less pixels. So 4K is pretty phenomenal. Nowadays, there's cameras that have 8K, but that's really cinematic. No one really needs 8K. 4K is fantastic.
Well, and I've read a couple of articles, and maybe you can tell me about this. Most of our TVs, everybody was blown away just 10 years ago when all the TVs were coming out with just full high def, right? So that's what the 1080 is, typically full high def, and then kind of the beginner high def is like the 720 or whatnot. And you know, a lot of videos on YouTube and a lot of online videos, like on those smaller screens, like 720 is fine for that. They look super crisp. But you get anything bigger and you need to have the 1080. And I have heard in some places, maybe you can validate this for me, that actually, like, our eyes, you know, on most standard screens, like, we can't even really see 4K. But what 4K does, you know, you can blow it up to, like, you know, one of those massive, you know, giant screens. But for most of our online video content, what it does is it allows us the versatility of being able to zoom in into certain areas of the screen, or like right now in my screen, my webcam shoots in 1080, but just because it's at such a wide angle, you know, I've got to be able to zoom it in. So I'm probably a little less than 720 even right now, and just being able to kind of zoom in and not get elements out of the, you know, the background and off into the dining room and you know, everything else. But you know, what would you say about that? I mean, is that the really the main benefit to just like a small business owner and they're creating content?
So for example, you mentioned something right now about zooming in. Every video that I make for businesses, for example, I recently made BNI's corporate promo video for the Miami summit that's going to happen in November.
Right.
So they showcase that video around 70 countries. I've done videos for Parkinson's Foundation. That was a nationwide TV commercial. And every video I made, I record in 4K, but I export it in 1080. And the reason why is because I can zoom in and I have more opportunity to either, if it's an interview and I record like this, then I can zoom in and the face is still in high definition.
Yeah.
So it almost seems as if there's two cameras in the interview. And then I can also flip the camera. And so now I'm going to be able to, and that's going to seem like there's three cameras. So there's a lot of tricks to 4K, and it's very advantageous. And when I use two cameras, it seems like there's six cameras. So it's pretty impressive and pretty good. And as a business owner, you don't really need it. But if you have it, like in your phone, if you have the latest phones, just go to settings, go to the camera, and then choose 4K. The only downfall of choosing 4K is that it eats up a lot of your storage. Yeah. So if you have unlimited storage, then that is not a problem. I think it's a few dollars upgrade per month or per year. I did it a few years ago, and I haven't looked back because I hate having to erase things on my phone or worry about the memory. So now I have unlimited storage, and I record everything in 4K, even videos that I'm doing here in my house with my dog for fun. But in terms of content, 4K is a way to go. And so, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal that with a phone stabilizer and good lighting, you can make like a cinematic video if you just know how to edit it. And if you are afraid of editing, you can hire people on Fiverr.com or Upwork for like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks, and they can edit all the videos for you. Of course, there's different ranges in professionalism, but it's pretty easy to do. I mean, really, all you need to do is take the first step and have a structure on what kind of content to do. For example, everyone knows Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
You know that guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has, in the past 2 years, I don't know if he did it this year, but he would come to an event called Agent 2021 to Miami.
Right.
He promoted it all over the place. And so he basically filled the around Stadium, 50 yards of the Dolphin Stadium.
Oh, okay.
In the Marlins was Grant Cardone. So in the Dolphin Stadium, around 50 yards was people in real estate, in insurance, tourism, and I forgot which other one. And so he basically was giving out a lot of content. And then after he did his speech, there was like different workshops and areas, and his team had a tent that basically summarized what his content was, and there were 7 pillars. I actually just did a proposal right now explaining the 7 pillars to someone, and it's vlog, which is a video blog. You basically document what you're doing. And then there's speaking engagements. So for example, if you're giving a talk, or if you're in BNI and you have that 10-minute opportunity to do your lesson, that's a second way of doing content. Then there was podcast, Q&A show, where people ask him questions and he just answers to people's concerns, doubts, or any questions regarding the industry. Interview sessions where he brings someone in and they talk about what's happening or just give valuable information. Written content, which he does a lot. He even writes books. He's always writing articles on LinkedIn. And then the last one, I forgot right now what it was, but it's, hold on, I just did the, topic deep dives.
Okay.
So for example, today we're going to talk about the 5 things that you can do to do Hollywood level videos.
Yeah.
And so, that kind of stuff. And it's worked for him.
I mean, certainly it has. I think a lot of people will look at a guy like Gary Vee though and be, super intimidated because they see where he's at right now and don't realize that, he was just doing like a daily or a weekly vlog when he first got started with the whole thing. And some people ask the questions like,
do you know how he started?
Much. Well, it was his wine library TV thing, right?
Wine library, yeah.
Family's liquor store, and he was just doing like.
And he did it himself. And he did it himself.
And yeah, and he did it, and you go back and like the first episode of that is he still makes available or something, or I went back and found it and looked at these old versions. And I mean, it was with like a little crappy camera, and he talks about he went and like replaced it the next day because he didn't like the quality or whatever. But he got started, and so I think a lot of people, and even myself, I've been kind of hesitant or procrastinating, or I'm too much of a perfectionist, or all this kind of stuff. And I kind of
I'm the same way.
And I think a lot of us are that way. But I mean, the other thing about it is like, is there so much freaking content on the internet? Unless you're afraid that you're going to like run for office one day and, somebody's going to go and find something you said 20 years ago and take it out of context, which that's going to pretty much happen to everybody in another 10 years when they start looking back at our college days on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. So you might as well get up there and just say something and, so what if it sounds dumb? Everybody's saying dumb things. And I think we're becoming more and more aware of that. But we all have some kind of knowledge or something to be able to share, or maybe we're just going to share information about, if it's a small business or a store or somebody who's kind of locked down, but like, what are those key things that are making? And my whole big thing is like, how do you build trust? How do you build credibility? And trust comes from familiarity. It comes from shared belief. It comes from shared experience. And so if you're on like showing yourself, showing your face, like it's fantastic. And the other thing, right, that I've seen when I'm talking to business owners, and like some of my clients have been very reluctant, like most of them, to get online. Like, just do it for the pure economics of it, because they were running ads like on Facebook and stuff. I'm like, if you will run a video ad of you talking, it will be so much cheaper. And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And, we
compared to TV? Are you comparing it to TV?
Well, not to TV. I'm talking about just the Facebook video ads themselves. Like they were running ads trying to get likes or drive traffic, get conversions on their website, right? So I had like one guy who was an arborist. I have another lady who's an attorney. I've gone in and they've had these ad campaigns, and they were just putting up blank posts and that kind of stuff. But I'm like, just do a video of you explaining why they need to trim their trees right now, or when is the best time of the year to do that. Or I'm telling the family law attorney, like, get in and explain like what's happening with child time sharing during the downturn and stuff. And I was able to show them the results in the ad campaign. It was like, look, this campaign of you just posting general content or having somebody else manage for you, it is costing you $17 for a like, or $35 to get a click over into your website. But these that you're doing a video, because they're shareable and they're information, like you're actually getting people that are clicking over, and it's costing you like $2, $3, $4, $5 maybe for those
And
same,
it builds trust.
because it builds trust, right? People still see a face. We're still social. To what you said before, which is so key. This is physical distancing. It's not social distancing. We are still innately social animals. So we need to be
So I
doing.
want to share something real quick that because you mentioned it several times, which is seeing your face. I love the shows that Netflix are coming out with. There's one called The Circle, which is pretty fun. It's like a new Big Brother kind of show about texting. And there's another one called 100 Humans. This one, I finished watching it last week. And there was a study in which they showed different faces of women to a group of people. And so the key difference was that they showed one particular woman like 4 more times than the rest. And so let's say that woman B was showed 4 times more than the rest. So at the end, they said, who was the most attractive? And which one do you think won? Woman B, because they saw her face the most. It had most impressions. And that's pretty much why Coca-Cola is still on the Times Square on top, because it's just about them seeing you. Oh, by the way, one of my highlights from last year was I made a video that was on Times Square. That was amazing stuff. I felt very proud.
Very good. You should be. You should be very proud. So let's get into some practical stuff, because we're talking about kind of like high level stuff. You're saying like, oh, you can use your phone. You mentioned a stabilizer and good lighting. Let's talk about that, because I 100% agree that those are the two main things. Like if you can get the lighting down, and you can probably even just prop your phone up on a book and still get decent decent stabilization to be able to record video. So let's get just like some really solid.
Sure.
Base
I'll
level
show you.
tip.
I'll show you my setup, and
Okay.
I'm going to show a little bit of my living room. So basically, my phone right now is being held by this. It's like a $10. Where is this? It's a $10 phone stabilizer. This one,
Okay.
with one of my
Selfie stick, basically.
Yeah, and then lighting wise, I have this light on me that is a huge difference. But then I also have my second light, this one fills the room. So this lights the whole room so that I get light from everywhere. And then I'm positioning myself so that the backlight doesn't overexpose me, but it still shows a little bit on my face. And so, I mean, this is the difference between, and then I still have another light over there. This is the difference between minimal adjustments that just increase the quality.
Can you turn those off real quick, just so we can get like a before and after?
Sure.
Yeah, and especially,
you see the difference?
Yeah, especially with like the window in the background. I have a client. I had to tell him that he was coming, just don't even turn your video on if you're going to sit like this, because he'd sit in his apartment in Brickell, and he'd run these sales meetings, or he'd be on the sales meetings, and he'd always sit with his back to the window, and so you've got this bright light coming in through the window, and he just completely gets blacked out. And it's like you're the mystery man in the James Bond videos over here. Like, we got to get you a lamp or something to light up your face.
So it's pointers of what you can do with light. The strongest light is from the sun. So it's never good to have the light from the back unless you have light that's gonna balance it.
Okay.
But the best light is natural light. So people who are next to a window can use the natural light, and that's good enough. Sometimes that's all you need. In my case, because I wanted to showcase this background, I brought two of my LEDs for that purpose, because I like this perspective of the lines. I'm following the rule of thirds. So rule of thirds is basically that there's 4 different lines here,
Yeah.
and I'm on this top corner, and this one is giving you a perspective that's kind of pointing to my face.
Yeah,
You got up, right? I saw.
behind me now, right?
Because in the beginning you were like this.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like leaning back and everything else, and we're sitting down. But that's a solid point. And I've been shifting kind of back and forth between, I'm sitting at my desk right now in my chair, and my desk setup has this big hutch, and we're in kind of our Florida room / office that we're in the middle of remodeling. Because some people ask me, it's like, why do you have that infinite white background and do all that? It's like, actually, because it's very simple to do that.
Yeah.
And
it's clean. It looks professional.
And you get like this professional quality result, but it's very simple to set up, simple-ish, I would say. And if I know the kind of the move today seems to be, having a long room behind you and having that bokeh, blurry, narrow field of vision. And that's what people kind of want to see. And it looks like at church, they've been like broadcasting church up, and they'll set the pastor up like that. It's like, but I'm not in a position to be able to do that, because that would be off into our, my dining room and stuff. And so, I can set this up, and maybe I'll change a color on it. And, I've set it up where I just have a kind of an uplight behind me in my chair and kind of get this little halo effect and stuff. So, there's all kinds of different things you can do with it. But to your point, I mean, and I think that light even looks fancy, and I'll even show like my light. Like I'm super, I grew up on a farm, so I call it resourceful. Other people just call me a redneck, but this
works.
is like two 100-watt equivalent CFL bulbs that the daylight things.
They're very strong.
Y splitters and into a regular little clamp light, and I just kind of had to bend it to. You probably can't even see it because it's blowing out. So, but that's several feet from my face that I can just kind of hook over here to my hutch to be able to balance that big backlight from the back. But, on the video, you can't tell the difference, right?
No.
Nobody knows what kind of lighting you're using and any of that kind of that stuff. All that stuff's irrelevant. They just care that you're well lit and that the video looks crisp, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, I mean, sometimes the glasses of the frames kind of reveal where the light is coming from.
Yeah,
like
I do get that.
If I point here, you can see it. But besides that, I mean, it's very minimal. I remember we had a Zoom call, I think like last year. I think you visited my BNI chapter.
Yeah.
And I was impressed by your setup. I was like, man, I need to like increase my setup of the calls, because I was just using my desktop with this yellowish light, and I didn't really care about the background. So now I'm realizing that it's just minor changes. I bought this phone holder, the lights, positioning here. It just makes it a lot better. So a lot of people are posting content that's somewhat unaesthetic, and they could improve.
Yeah.
And when it does, it makes just a big difference. I was reading a book called Turning Pro, and
Stephen Preston.
You read it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adriana Foster, who's a hypnotherapist from our BNI chapter, recommended that book. And yesterday I finished the book, and I was reading a sentence that said something like, when you increase the aesthetics, it's an increase in the soul.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't have to do it just for monetary purposes, but it just makes you overall feel better.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with the content. If you do good things, then you're like, oh, now I'm going to try this, and now I'm going to try that. And then what if I invite this person over? You just get more excited and happier too.
So, that I think that's some good tips on lighting. It doesn't have to be very sophisticated to have a good result. Like you're saying, just kind of like fill the room, balance with that, and kind of test things out a little bit too. Talk to me about sound though, because I think that's a place where I hear a lot of people kind of messing up. And I got my camera here is like the kind of classic or almost standard Logitech C9 or C920, something like that, right? Very, very, very popular. shoots good pictures, but the mic on it, hey, it may be better than like a laptop mic, but it still sucks. And I'll just actually just to give everybody an example. Um, let's
So
see.
I think right now your sound sounds good.
Well,
From
so right now I'm not on that. I'll show you what I'm using on that.
oh, okay, okay.
So I just switched it over to the
That's horrible.
yeah. So that's my webcam mic. That's my standard webcam mic, and maybe that's fine for just a plain Zoom meeting, but you can do a little bit better than that.
So what are you using? Is it like a physical thing?
Yeah. So here's what I'm using, and again, because I've got my hutch set up,
Oh, look at you. Okay,
right?
okay.
So
Do you
that's
do podcasts with that?
and so I'm basically set up to do this. So I've been like slowly bringing this up, but the main reason that I got that, and that's the Yeti Blue on a thing, and I actually got it refurbished off of Amazon, so it wasn't quite as much, but
Hey, you're saving money and it works.
yeah, and I think it was maybe the whole setup was like $150, and that's not cheap, but the quality and the ease of use was like so amazing, because I was posting these videos promoting a workshop that I was doing, and I did them on LinkedIn back in the fall, right? And I was listening to these videos, and people were like, "Oh, they sound fine," but I just knew they did not sound great. And then I had a mic that I used when I had recorded an online class, and I'd used a DSLR, and was recording the sound, but then you have to like link the sound up, and I'm like, that's too much for
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah,
to do
so
a
much
quick
effort.
2-minute video, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, let me try this thing out, and I hooked it up, and I mean, I was literally blown away the first time I did it, and I put it on that arm thing so that if I'm sitting down here like this, I can pull it close, but if I'm standing up like doing a video in front of the whiteboard, I can kind of push it up out of the screen as well. But
What brand is
sound is
it?
so key. It's the Blue Yeti. So very, very popular. It's a USB, plugs right into the computer. And so I can,
Very cool.
now in the Zoom call, I can switch back and forth between different microphones. In some calls, if the kids are at home, right, and I'll get the Logitech headset mic, and that sounds pretty good too. But obviously, that looks a little funky doing that. So
Yeah.
I had always heard a long time ago that, a lot of times it wasn't so much the video quality as, people will forgive video quality, but it's hard to forgive sound quality. And if you
Yeah,
got a
because
lot
it's
of
pretty
clicks,
annoying, right?
yeah, it just gets annoying. So, I think the biggest mistake I see, or the thing that if people are trying to record on their phones, if they get too far away, then it sounds a little too echoey. So
Right.
what are some other simple things that they can do if they don't want to drop, $150 or more on a big microphone like this?
So in this case, I'm using these, right? Because it sounds very well. But the problem, and I was actually trying to test this yesterday, is that if I click record with my camera, with my phone camera, it doesn't pick up the sound from these. Maybe I haven't changed the settings in the right way, but I basically put my phone on record. I left it on my couch and I walked to the other room, and I just kept saying test, 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 and my voice started to diminish.
Yeah.
So there are two solutions for the phone, and one is like $25, which is a lavalier that's like with a 6-foot cord that you connect, and you just put it inside of your shirt, and it looks like any lavalier. You can't even see that it has a cable, and so it's just gonna have like this like a little round thing here. And then there's another one that's new. It's pretty cool, and it's a wireless lavalier. It's a little bit longer. It's rectangular. I'll give you the link after this call. And basically, you can just walk around and don't worry about any cable. And it sounds pretty good. That one's like $144.
Okay.
It works. It's a little bit longer. I think the other one cheaper and does the job.
But you're kind of tethered at that point. You can't.
Right.
And
I was actually checking the shipping, and the only one that if you have Amazon Prime, the only one that you can get within 4 days, because now it's not 2 days because of the coronavirus,
Yeah.
is the wireless one. The other one, you'd be getting it mid to final April to May, because I think it's maybe it's not of importance, or maybe it comes from Asia and it's just taking longer
Yeah.
to drop ship.
Well, and I know it's been nuts. Just to say that, like I was going to go get another one of these webcams, and a month ago, just this plain webcam like that, because I actually send all my clients that they're like, oh, I don't have a webcam on my desktop or whatever. I would send them one, and just one that was good enough for video conferencing, like a 720, right? So just so we could be, because video conference wasn't that great, and even that one had gone from like $30 to like $80, and the one that was 80 before was like 200 and something dollars
Wow.
on Amazon. So that's not technically price gouging, but it may be just supply and demand. But what are some other places that maybe of that people can go to look for some of this equipment and stuff right now, with shipping being what it is and all the delays, and are there local places that might still be open that they can get some of this type of stuff?
So the number one brand that I recommend that's quality and super affordable, I think it actually has the best prices, that I always buy from, it's called Neewer, Neewer.
Yeah.
I trust that brand 100%. Whenever I'm trying to find a light stand, whether it's a very professional light stand or a good light, I just type in Neewer, and then I type whatever I'm looking for, and they have it. I tried it when I first began, like 6 to 7 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I don't even need to look for another one, because they always deliver. They have good customer service. So these lights that you saw are Neewer. These light stands are Neewer.
Yeah.
Other, in terms of equipment, in terms of audio, there's two brands I recommend, which is Rode, and Rode has very, very affordable equipment, or Sennheiser. Sennheiser a little bit more professional and more expensive. So for example, Sennheiser has a wireless lavalier for like $900, and Rode has the same one. I got that one because it just makes a little bit difference, and whenever I'm doing an important client, I want to deliver good
If you're doing
quality.
a global organization and you're doing their video, then and that they have the
Yeah.
budget to support all that kind of stuff as well. So,
and then Rode has one for like $200, which is, you can't even tell the difference. So I would recommend Rode for affordable audio equipment, Neewer for any sort of equipment regarding lighting or just video equipment, and phone stabilizers. There's several good prices. Like there's one called Zhone. I forgot how to spell it, but it's like a ZHY something, and it's $119.
okay.
It's super, super affordable.
Well,
these prices are just.
You mentioned the newer stands and stuff. So I have a couple of those same newer light stands. That's what I pop my lights up on here. And they have that 4x20 or quarter by 20 standard thread that's like on the bottom of the shoe of your camera that you would see on a tripod. And one of the things that I noticed when we went and started looking up stuff is that a lot of like the selfie sticks that folks probably have laying around will have that same spot that they can actually screw in. So even just like a simple light stand might have the ability to be converted into something like this. I even have one of those little mini tripods that I use for that, and I've set up my phone on that. It's not exactly
I'm gonna show you what
the most stable thing, but yeah.
Where is this? So this is a light stand. This is exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, there you go.
And it's just simple ways of. I saw a video recently that's just phenomenal. It was about how the lamps, those old school lamps that have not old school lamps, just lamps in general.
Yeah.
If you unscrew it above the light bulb, it's the same as a light stand, and you can put anything there.
Quarter.
Like a light.
Yeah, it's a quarter 20. So if you, I mean, you can go to the hardware store and get a quarter bolt, and it's a 1/4 inch bolt with 20 threads per inch, or TPI, and it's commonly just called that quarter 20 bolt, and anything will screw in there. So a lot of folks, I'm kind of a handy DIY kind of guy
I can
myself,
see. I
and
can see because I don't even know those measurements. I just know, oh, if it's in the lights, then I'll use it.
there you go. But that is the standard size universally, across the world, is a quarter 20 bolt, and you can make that kind of stuff. But yeah, I did not know that about the light stand. So if you have an old lamp, I have one over here that's like an ugly old lamp, and now I'm like,
try it out.
all right, we'll go and see, because I was just thinking, like, I need to be able to bring this camera closer so I don't have to digitally zoom in some places. That may be the answer.
Can your chair go higher?
So no, it can't. And I've been thinking about like building a platform, and
You're going to be falling off, no?
yeah, I maybe falling off the platform, or hold on just a second for me.
Sure.
So like a lot of folks, we've got the kids at home, and they're kind of doing their lessons. So I hope that wasn't too much of a distraction in the background.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, we can test out. There's a lot of ways to get around this. So use your phone. Dig up an old selfie stick from somewhere, look for lamps, that kind of stuff. You may still be able to order some stuff online from Amazon, but go check other sites. What about other sites that you might? Everybody kind of goes to Amazon right now, but I've been seeing the
B&H photo.
B&H photo, and they're still shipping out.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I haven't purchased anything from them recently. I usually order something that's like paper for backdrops or a little bit more expensive things from them. But as of now, I think they should be doing business as usual. And the surprising thing about affordable equipment is that people can have their own studio for like $150.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that affordable, whether it's a kit that has the lights and the paper and the light stands. With that, and you just use your phone with a phone holder like I was showing you right now. I mean, $150 is probably the cheaper end, but it's very doable with that amount of money, and you can save yourself having to hire someone. And if editing is a problem, then you just delegate it to someone so that they do an intro, outro, lower thirds, maybe zoom in, zoom out, add some stock videos on the background while you're talking, so that it's more engaging and it's not just one shot video the whole time.
Yeah.
It just makes it more interesting and engaging, because nowadays our attention span is very limited, and so if your video is just very stagnant, then people just lose interest and they get distracted, and they're going to be looking at their phone, or they're going to be thinking about what they're going to eat in the future or what email they have to answer. So it's about keeping people busy. And so besides the equipment, I would say editing is as important as having the equipment.
Yeah.
So just looking for editors.
So look for editors online. You mentioned a couple sites like Fiverr or Upwork, and you can find editors to do that. If somebody did want to try it themselves, or they just like, they're completely shut down, there's no revenue, and so they're taking this time to try and make content. Are there simple programs for doing that? Because I mean,
For sure.
I found online courses to learn how to do Adobe Premiere and pay for that, but it's, those subscriptions aren't exactly cheap, and it is kind of a complicated tool to be able to learn. What would you recommend to somebody who is just trying to get started out?
So I have the apps. I have to check. I have to leave here because I only use After Effects and Premiere, but I have them on my phone in case I ever need to show it to someone. Can you still see my camera?
I'm just seeing your profile picture right now. Very dapper.
Oh, thank you. So there's apps like Spark Video, 20 FPS, Firework, and then there's one more that I like. I can send them to you after this call.
Yeah.
I usually do all the editing on my computer, so VidColor. There's some pretty cool ones. Another thing I was going to say is that there's an app called TikTok, which is phenomenal. Have you been on TikTok? Have you seen the videos?
I hesitate to say yes, but yeah, I got on there. I have a it was
you have an account.
Well, I have an account. You can go in and join the other 3 or 4 people who randomly followed me on there. I think I posted something with my son, but one of my clients has a tutoring company, does a lot of SAT prep, and so his main target for kind of not the purchasing, but the end user are high school students, and so they're all on TikTok. I'm like, got to be on there. Like, well, let's figure it out together. And so
it's fun. Like, it's really fun. And even Gary Vee's there, he makes content for that platform. Like, he makes it a little bit more raw, and the editor adds a lot of like funky text and things for that audience. But it's a really fun, like, I really enjoy TikTok. If you follow the right people, there's people who give advice, there's topics about wealth. But the point that I was trying to make is that Instagram and TikTok are editing softwares themselves. So you don't really have to go to another app and then edit it there. You can just record it, and then Instagram and TikTok have ways that you can edit your videos and make it engaging and have transitions and have some effects and it's just easy.
Even the built-in
user-friendly
phone editors, because I know you're an Apple guy. I'm a Samsung guy, but even I've noticed that with the updates that come through, like even the editing capabilities on the phone itself, like you can trim and like cut things out, or if like at the beginning of this we were just kind of chatting, checking our settings and all that kind of stuff before we really get started. Like you can totally cut all that kind of stuff out directly into your phone, and then like you say, be able to upload it into a if it's a short clip or something like that, clip it out, that minute clip or something, right in those things. And I've also been told that YouTube, if folks are going to upload it to YouTube, that the creator studio there is also pretty good, or has a lot of those same kind of characteristics and capabilities.
In terms of clipping, it's easier on the phone than on my computer. On my computer, I have to wait a few minutes for the video to render and export if I just want to trim something. And on the phone, it's just like, click, okay, done.
Yeah.
It's just a few seconds. It's pretty phenomenal. I haven't used it, so I don't know which app to use for my phone in terms of editing the videos. I mean, iMovie was a thing with iMac before, but there's a ton of apps to do the editing.
All right.
And there's a website that does the block titles, which is pretty cool. If you want to do like social media ads, I really forgot the name of that one. I'll send it to you later.
Or something like that, or
which one?
Rapper. So I think I've seen what you've been talking about.
So but, you can do videos for free, but if you want to add some like changes, you gotta pay a little bit more. Certainly. And it creates like
subtitles, like captions, and
like very creative blocks that you're like, are you looking for? Have you been in a car accident recently? Or something like that. So you can make it, and it seems professional. So to answer your question, if people don't want to hire someone and they can do it themselves, they absolutely can do it themselves. In the long run, if you want to keep doing it, it's better to delegate it than to have to take the time to do this, because it's very time consuming.
It is very time consuming. And like to get precise in the stuff, I mean, like I totally understand like why it does cost what it does. After I got in there and edited my first online course, and that's been one of the reasons that I hadn't put up another online course, because I'm just like, oh my gosh. But that, I think that kind of brings us to the question, because I know we were kind of talking about what you were doing, or maybe kind of this idea of consulting, and I know you're kind of you haven't launched that or even thought about that, but I mean, is that something that you could help somebody with? Because I know the thing that I've had good success with like Upwork and Fiverr, and then other times it's not so great. And people are they're sharing this stuff, and it's like raw footage, and they don't even necessarily know how to communicate it. And if it's somebody that just has video editing schools, they may not necessarily know how to communicate that too. So I mean, is that something that you can help somebody with in terms of like managing a project like that, or helping them come up with kind of a brand or something like that? And maybe you're finding the right editor or somebody like that on Fiverr or something for them to be able to get them a final product where they can just kind of send you raw footage and you help them tweak that or get set up with doing that, and then you can turn back the final project.
So now that I've been in the video game for a few years, now I understand how I can grow. And before I was just doing videos for businesses, but now I'm adding two new features or two new services, which is if I can't do it for you, I can teach you with my new education course called videoacademy.miami. So I'm creating new video classes that I will be hosting once a month, every Saturday, for either 5 to 8 hours, depending on if you want to learn just how to do videos or how to do editing. And it's just one day workshop where I'm going to teach everything I need, everything I've ever learned, give all the equipment I use, all my secrets. And in one day you can just finish and leave doing the videos yourself. Or I can consult and say, look, we'll have a 1 hour phone call, and this is what you need to do. Hire this person from this website, buy this equipment, and there you go. So either I do it for you, I teach you, or I'll show you what you need to do.
All right. That's fantastic. So where do people like get in touch with you? How do they contact you? What's the best way?
My phone number or email. Phone number is 956-639-2910. And my email is Neto, Neto, at videoworks.miami.
Videoworks.miami. And is that the website domain as well, if they went there to see some of your work and stuff?
Yeah, videoworks.miami. You'll see there some of the videos I've created. Now that we were talking about this, that I'm starting it off, I always want to hear people's opinions. For example, I was talking to Luke Kumanchik yesterday, and I was telling him about we're having a conversation about the video consultancy, and he said, if you show me a video of how it looks like when you don't use the knowledge that you're going to give to one that you do, for example, just right now, I mean, this simple thing and the other one, show me that and tell me that my videos are going to look like that, then you have my attention. And so I'm brainstorming, and I'm writing down the script to the ad that I'm going to be producing here with a green screen that I'm going to be showing. Actually, not even with a green screen. I'm just going to show what it's going to look like and promote it in an email blast. So I'm always receptive to feedback and opinions. So what do you think would be a good strategy or a good way to begin with my video consultancy?
Yeah. So I'll piggyback off of Luke's idea right there. I mean, that's ultimately the key thing that I've been talking with folks about in all of this is, how are we adding value? And you adding value to people by helping to solve their problems, right? You can show them that you can help them do something, either cheaper or faster or at a higher quality than they can do themselves. And the overall value that they get out of whatever expense they pay you, that's why you do it. And because you can do that easier, you have that knowledge base to be able to accelerate that or to be able to decrease the time or improve the quality. That is the value you bring. And it costs you less to do that because of your expertise than they could do it themselves, right? So
I made the mistakes so that you don't have to make them.
Yeah, you've made the mistakes, you've taken the classes, you've done all the other stuff, and you can get them the higher quality result faster and cheaper. That's basically what all value propositions ultimately come down to, right? Is you getting somebody a result that they want easier than they can get it to them for themselves, and at ultimately at really a lower cost than what they can do it for for themselves. Because I mean, even the DIYers, you might the expense, the monetary expense might be more, but I mean, my gosh, in terms of time and headache and all that other kind of mess, it can be ridiculous. So I think that is a key thing, but ultimately being able to visually demonstrate that. And, I think when we're talking about video, if you're talking about doing that, then obviously all of your content needs to be video. And maybe you wrap some things in, but that definitely, like the lion's share, 90% of it or so, needs to be doing that. And the same kind of video.
You know what? I wasn't doing it. I was doing it for my clients, but I didn't do it myself. I actually came out in Gary Vee's podcast when he came to Agent 2021. I've spoken to him twice. And the second time was that he was, giving a talk to people, and there was a Q&A moment. And so I said, look, Gary, you're saying about, you're telling us to post daily, but because I have a video agency, I just don't have time to post it myself. I create the content for my clients. He's like, no, you need to do it for yourself. You need to start doing this content. And that was last year, and I still haven't done the content. And this like quarantine has made me realize that now I have the extra time to start with it, because before I was overwhelmed. I had like 7 projects that I had to finish, and it would just take a lot of time. But now it's like, you know what, I'm going to start doing this content. And and so I don't even know what I was saying with all that stuff. With this knowledge, sorry, what were you saying?
No, it absolutely is. It's all of us are kind of in that same boat, right? So all these things that we've known, like, oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing this, we should do this, but the urgent takes care. The old saying is that the carpenter's house is never built. And and I'm kind of the same way as well. We should have had this conversation months ago, right? And some of the other things that I've lined up, but everybody's busy and everybody's doing something else, and everybody's focused on, like, and I've definitely been focused.
They're prioritizing other things.
That's right. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. But now, whether it's we just have the extra time, I mean, I honestly don't have the extra time. I've been crazier busy. Like,
that's good for you.
And it is, I'm blessed to do it, and very humbled that, all my clients, have been coming to me to kind of rework strategies and to do all that stuff, because they need that objective viewpoint right now as it is in this time. But that could still change, right? So, like, if we don't pull out of this stuff in 2 months, I have no misgivings that, things could change for my clients. And, I am much more likely to not be working for them sooner than they let go their full-time employees, right? And that's a lot of us in the marketing field and agencies and things like that. And so I'm crazy busy. I've been working much longer days, not getting quite as much sleep, but, which is also scary, right? Because then that reduces your immune system and all of this. So finding that balance, being able to figure it out and work with the kids in the background and help on their schoolwork and all of those things. I mean, it's a wild time, but,
And are you as productive working from home?
Well, and so that's the key thing. I mean, like, why I've got this set up and we've been talking about it. Like, I've been doing this for the past 3 years. We moved up from Miami, we moved to Orlando. A lot of my clients still being down there. And so I've just had to kind of adjust, and, didn't like the way my half background behind me looked, and doing little videos. So it's been adding on. And so I feel like I'm in a good position to be able to move on this and to be able to do it quickly. But it really comes back down to making the decision and putting the effort and understanding that you're going to suck at it at first, and it's going to take a ton of time to figure it out. But just like any muscle, or just like, when you ran, sprints in school or whatever, like, the more you do it, the faster you get and the easier it gets. And so it's kind of the same thing. So that's where really I'm at right now, and what we're looking to move forward with. But I think we're at the top of the hour, and I know we've both got to get on with the rest of our day. So
I'd like to say one more thing.
Do it.
So in January, I took a course called Business Mastery with Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And so it was 5 days. He was amazing. I mean, he was walking beside me several times. And the one thing that I learned from him was that the key to long-term success is innovation and marketing. And what he meant by innovation is that don't fall in love with your product. Fall in love with solving problems for your customers.
Right.
That means that you got to always come up with new ways. And so if right now, for example, this quarantine, this social distancing thing is affecting your business, come up with new ways to do it. Like now I have to think of new ways, like the consultancy, because of this. So this is the innovation, and then the marketing, so people know who you are. Because an iPhone without the whole marketing, I mean,
Absolutely.
millions wouldn't be using it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to finish over that phrase.
I think that's a great lesson to go. The one of the books that I've read recently that I gave to all my clients for Christmas this past year was The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, and one of the keys to an infinite mindset that he talks about is existential flexibility, and it's kind of that same mindset. You know, our businesses are not our products, our businesses are not our services, our businesses are the value that we provide to our clients. And what provides value to them is going to change from time to time as different needs and different things in the environment arise. And so I think that's a good word, and that's a good thought that's out there, and maybe a good way to end this as we go and continue to adapt our days. So Neto, I appreciate your time again, being here.
Thank you.
And we'll talk again soon, and I'll see you maybe at one of our other meetings in a virtual format.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much for this invitation. I appreciate it.
All right, sir. Be well.
You too. See ya.